Hello, everybody out there in YouTube and Facebook land. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are Pocatello Paranormal. Paranormal. Sometimes I can't say paranormal. Pocatello Paranormal. I should have had a different name when we
I
did
think we
this.
should change it to paranormal. I like that.
I like paranormal.
Paranormal. Paranormal. Hey, mud lover. So yeah, we're here tonight, and you'll notice that McKenna is missing because she's out on assignment and having a great time. So we thought we would start off. We're going to do mostly all readings tonight. So when you guys have a question, pop in, leave your question, and we'll start the readings. But tonight, first, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the solar flares that we're having because it's just creating chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Celeste, Susie, how does that affect us so much?
I think it just shifts the energy. I don't know if it impacts gravity too, but I mean, everything's energy and electricity and explosions, it's totally messed up my sleep. I have probably had 2 decent nights of sleep in the last week and a half to 2 weeks, like literally up for hours in the middle of the night or can't get to sleep till 3 or 4 in the morning. And there's a whole bunch of chaos happening on our little planet too. And I don't know if it's those solar flares, but there are earthquakes and volcanoes and all kinds of stuff, including right here in Idaho. So I don't know. It's been interesting.
Yeah,
Hey,
it affects a lot of the electronics for sure. I know that, but it also drains people. There's been a lot of people that have let me know that they're just exhausted and they just have no energy. And I'm like, well, yeah, just give it a few more days and it'll calm down. But
it's nuts. I didn't get to, so I go to bed so early that I miss the Northern Lights. I don't know if you guys saw them, but
no, I'm old.
No, I just you have a good view too, kind of where you are there, Susie. So it'd be kind of interesting, especially like over the water. That'd be really pretty to get that glow over the water. So you to get a double, it would be cool. But yeah. So for those of you tuning in, we do not have McKenna tonight. She's out on assignment. So if you have a question, go ahead and put it in chat. We're going to kind of chit chat about stuff and do readings the full hour. Gina, you had said something and then it sparked a thought and then I lost it. See what head injuries do?
Is that what it is? I can't remember when I injured my head, but
yeah,
my sparks.
Ooh, it sailed right out. So anywho,
was it about volcanoes, lions, tigers, and bears, volcanoes, earthquakes?
See, rabbit. And I just posted something on her Facebook and I was looking at it and there's this page or group saying, oh my gosh, the super volcano, blah, blah, blah. And they're all concerned about all these earthquakes. And I said, I'm not concerned when we have them. I'm concerned when we don't.
Yes.
Because the earth needs to breathe and hiccup and burp and belch and do all these things to keep us, mud lover. The earth needs to let off steam, really. And and if it doesn't and it gets quiet, that's when I get worried about stuff. So, Soda Springs had the earthquake. We had that new geyser. I saw it today at Yellowstone. It was a hot pool that really isn't a geyser, and it kind of blew up a little bit today. It did some rock, ash, and water. That was pretty interesting. So, hey, Jason.
That's really cool.
So you guys,
I was going to say questions. There was a decent one yesterday, several over by Stanley. They felt it in Boise and all around.
Yeah.
And multiple. It started like in the middle of the night, early morning, like 1 something in the morning. And my friend posted at 7 a.m. it woke him up. He was up camping at Stanley.
Hello, Sherry. And just to let y'all know, we're coming in a little bit. Right now, we do not have McKenna tonight. She's out on assignment having, hey, Jess, there you are, sis. having lots of fun. McKenna's having lots of fun. So we thought we would chat tonight about maybe our investigation a little bit and anything that comes to mind. We don't have to do that. We can really chat about anything. And okay, yeah, and we're going to do readings the whole hour. So this is David.
How's your stress, David?
Flip-flopping. Anything about my health?
How's your stress level?
Yeah, that's what comes to mind.
Yep. And usually when stuff like that happens to me, either my stress is way too high, saying for yeah, and then or I'm getting sick. I'm coming down with something.
Hey, Ghost House Paranormal. We always love to have you in the house. Yeah, David, that would be, and Susie's definitely the one to ask about that because she's familiar with some of that stuff. And Sherry said, yeah, his heart is going crazy. That's not good, David. You need to
simmer down.
Find some zen. Get outside, find some zen.
My heart at night when I'm sleeping and supposed to be relaxed, I'll wake up and I'm like, it's pounding. I can hear it in my ears. And during the day, not so much. But yeah, no, I've been doing the last couple days some it's like Asian medicine where you do tapping in different places.
Oh, yeah.
It settled everything down last night. But yeah, I wake up and I'm like, did I have a bad dream? Because I don't remember it being a bad dream. But you know how like if you get like a startle or something in a dream that it'll sometimes get your heart going. But no, just getting my booty out of bed to go potty or just rolling over. And it's like this isn't normal. But it's been lately, and I don't know, maybe all this electrical stuff is messing with our hearts too.
Could be two things. Number one, definitely keep an eye on it because hearing your blood pressure at night, the blood pounding, that could be high blood pressure naturally. But that started happening to me. Sorry for the group here. The whole old lady syndrome of menopause. That is a very common thing to have your heart pounding at night and your blood pressure, like heart racing, is an old lady disease.
So sorry to tell you that, David, but you're in menopause, bud.
Yeah,
menopause. David. So for all of you who don't know, David is our co-host now with Jess and I on the Thin Line, and we absolutely adore him. And he's such a wonderful asset for our show. You need to take care of yourself because we need you for a very long time on our show, and we just love you and Sherry. So take care of yourself. Yeah, Jess said there's lots of energy. And for you two ladies, Sherry's asked a question about a reading on work and life in general into the next few months, please.
Well, overall, I just feel like you both need to like chill out. You need to do some rest and relaxation. Me personally, I'm feeling a bit too much stress coming off from your guys' ends and not following our advice of getting out and in nature and relaxing and, doing some self-care. I mean, I know you guys went and saw that comedian, but that's still a whole lot of driving time.
Right.
What do you think?
I know David has farm animals like I do, and that's my zen time. When I come home from work, I know you have a vacation coming up. It's really exciting. So when I come home from work, the phone gets put away. I go outside and I spend an hour and a half cleaning. And it sounds like people are like, that's fun for you. Cleaning the paddock, talking to the animals, checking on the pigs, feeding everybody, giving everybody their treats and their cookies, making sure they all have 2 eyes and 4 legs. And, except for the chickens, that would be creepy. 4 legs, but you know what I mean.
I've heard that they try doing that because people like legs and
Anyway, you are. David said he is boating this Saturday. That is going to be very good for you.
Good.
And that he goes out and does the same thing. So that's my zen time. We all have to find whatever that zen thing is. At least 20 minutes a day. 40 minutes is better. An hour is great.
Yeah, do 20 if you're not stressed out, but if you're really stressed out, do more, or at least do like different spurts of it, like morning, afternoon, evening, if you can't, dedicate a whole hour.
Also, I see that you guys worry a lot about those adult kids of yours, probably more than you should, because they are adults. They do have to take care of themselves. They're responsible for their own actions. I know you two are super empathetic and loving, and you want everybody to be good. Just remember, they have their own free agency, and just let them learn. They have to learn from their own mistakes. And right now it's you time. It's you and Sherry's time. So work on you guys, your relationship, and do the things that you want to do. The kid stuff will sort itself out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she said yes.
Mhm.
Especially what we discussed with you. So yeah, that can be difficult. I don't know. It must be difficult to let go. I'm not a parent, so I don't know. It must be incredibly difficult to let go.
It
So
is. Once a parent, always a parent.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was just going to say, Susie and I are great examples.
Oh, yeah. They're in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, people, and they're like, oh, 18 years of your life. And it's like, apparently they left that part of the contract out. And,
Yeah.
Most of it's really good, but sometimes it's either they don't listen to you and you're like, I could make your life so much easier if you just listen. But then other times it's they're just, I'm a grown up and I can do what I want.
The thing is when they're all grown up, they caused you more stress than when they were little, when you could ground them or kick their butt,
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got this person that's like, I know what I'm doing. And you're like, no, you don't, but okay.
Yeah. My son drives truck and had a blowout on, it was either Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday, and ended up a 19-hour shift because, you can't call out sick when you're delivering groceries. People like to eat. And it's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, luckily it was one of them that, doesn't affect necessarily. It wasn't like on the truck part. It was on the trailer part. But it's like, yeah, you didn't have to worry about that when they were 6.
Mm-hmm.
When they are grown up and use out in the boonies in Yellowstone.
Yeah. So. My grandma was 93 years old, and she used to yell at my dad, and he was like in his 60s. And I swear I was waiting for that walker just to be driven right up the, in the cheeks of his. Yeah, that would have been funny. I would have recorded it.
All right, you guys, we're on here. We're doing the questions and readings the full hour. Please don't be shy. Go ahead and ask your question. Yeah, I can imagine. But so I wanted to talk a little bit. If you guys who are watching this or will watch this after it's live, if you have not watched some of our video from the investigation we did at the bar, the Cowboys Pastime Bar and Grill in Bruneau last a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, Memorial Weekend. That was really fascinating, and we made contact with a real, very strong presence there.
Jack Hall.
Jack,
is that the one you're talking about?
Jack Hall, yeah. And what happened when you got home, Susie? Because that was quite interesting.
Well, when I was there, he was quite the card. He was cutting up with a whole bunch of people, right, Mad Max? And we talked about some prostitution that had occurred there very secretly and quietly, which he knew all about on the down low. And we also teased him about, we played some 21. So we played some card games with him, and we even like upped the ante. And I said, hey, maybe you get to spend the night with one of us ladies, and that really set all the stuff off. And that's the night, like he had touched me, what I tell you, like 6 or 8 different times. A lot.
Susie.
Yeah, he kept like, my arm, my neck, my leg.
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe no shorts next time, but it was like 90 degrees there. So, but anyway, when I got home my daughter also is like me, but when I was just about 5-10 minutes before I got to the house, my phone started ringing because my youngest she went to the restroom and she heard footsteps that sound like cowboy boots coming down the hallway towards the bathroom. And she heard the floor creaking. And then she said that she saw this guy like in old Western clothing, and he had a really small plaid print shirt on, of blue and white, which is what we were describing at the bar as well. And she said that she startled him when she like looked at him, and then she felt him kind of, disappear a little bit. But she told me about it as soon as I got in the house. And then we sat down on my bed, and I have cats. And so I put scat mats out, which are these little electric plastic mats that will, kind of shock them to keep them off the bed. Anyway, so she was in my room, and she was using the copper divining rods and asking, hey, is this Jack Hall that's in here? Is that who I saw? Yes. And she was like asking a couple questions like, I thought I heard you, and what are you doing here? And, did you follow mom here? And, yes. And then all of a sudden my scat mats went off, and they made a noise that sounded like an EMF detector going off, that beep, 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 beep. And they never do that. It's one loud beep ever, because it just shocks and then gets everybody off. No one was touching them at all. So he had set my electric shock mats off while he was communicating with us. So yeah, he didn't stay long, but I think he was just curious.
Yeah, he only had a thing for you, so. And he left. Did he leave? Like, he hasn't been back?
Yeah, he's not been back. I've had them follow before from different places. Like when I was at the Enders with you guys, I did have a shadow figure for a little while, and I kicked him out. So, and then sometimes we'll have like really strange dreams the night after an investigation. And it's usually them still trying to communicate a little bit, but it dissipates. It's just that connection. Once we tap in, sometimes it takes a minute to, totally peter off.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting he found your house before you got home, though.
Oh, I know. Well, everything's connected, all energy's connected. So he, I don't doubt it that he knew, but he really had a thing for the women, didn't he, Colleen? Like he was really,
he was. Mm-hmm. Nothing nefarious about him or anything like that. He was just a good old boy that spent his time in the bar, because what else do you do in Bruno? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a lot out there. So, he spent a lot of his time in that bar. It was pretty interesting because we really we felt energy, but we weren't getting a whole lot of activity until we start playing cards. Mm-hmm. So once we started a card game, then he came in, and it was like game on. Mm-hmm. So it was cool. It was very cool. We even dealt him into a few hands. So it was pretty cool. Gentleman cowboy. Yes, exactly. So there was a lot of energy. There was a lot of spirits there, but we really liked that area. It was a fun bar to go investigate. And I look forward to doing more over there, maybe Mountain Home area. So, so, and just to let you guys know, please leave your questions in the chat if you want a reading, because we're doing the full hour tonight of reading. So we have our paranormal class will start up again in September. We're only doing one class a year from now on. It's too much to do all the shows, to do the classes. So we're only doing one semester a year. We're going to focus on the fall, because that way it puts the investigation real close to Halloween, which is fun for the students because they're already pretty amped up. And I think we're going to cut the class down to 5 weeks instead of 6, because I think 6 weeks was a little much. So the class will be 5 weeks long with the investigation on the last night again.
Are you going to have more students this time, or the same amount?
No, it'll be about the same, about 15 students. We have a lot of interest in this class. So if people are out there and they are interested in taking the class, the mailer comes out this summer from the ISU College of Technology for all of these extension courses. And sign up. If you're interested, sign up immediately, because it's capped at 15, and it fills really quick, and then you're out. You can't. We just can't. We do 50, 60, 100 people in the class. That's not the class is not the problem. The problem is the night of the investigation. It's too many people to wrangle.
Yeah.
It's too big.
Do you have a start date for the class?
I do not yet. It will be, though. Well, I do actually. I told them that I would like to start September 10th.
Okay.
That's the second Friday of September. Because I go to the Phenomicon.
September 10th is a Wednesday. Is it the 12th?
September 10th on my calendar says mine is saying it's Friday the 10th. Wait, like on the wrong year?
25?
Huh?
Are you on the 2025?
I have my calendar as soon as 25. Let me look and see what it says for today. Yeah, it's 2025. We are the 4th. Yeah. Are you on the wrong day? Oh, I'm in October. I'm an idiot.
October. Okay. I'm like, we're in the Twilight Zone because the 10th
I'm telling you, your calendars will automatically bring in the next month if it ends. Anyhow, yeah, okay. So the 12th. Oh, okay, we have a reading. Oh, David, they'll be in Greece, he said. I'm so jelly.
You should cancel. I'll go.
I know.
Sherry and I would have a great time.
Okay, Susan would like a reading. She would love a reading. Let's clarify that. She would love a reading. Is there a particular question, Susan, that you're looking for, or just kind of a general reading? And yeah, so I think, shortening the class up, I think will help a little bit, keep people's attention span. I mean, it'll still be 2 hours a night on Friday nights, but it'll only be 5 weeks. So that puts our investigation October 10th. So I wanted it in October. Susan said just a general reading, whatever comes to mind, if both of you want to chime in on that.
Okay, I'll start. I've got a few cards coming out. So in the near future, it's coming at you pretty fast. You're going to have to make a choice of a new direction, a new passion, or someone that you could be passionate about. Mm-hmm. So you've got a choice. It's going to be kind of hard for you, but universe really wants you to listen to your intuition, that first gut reaction when it comes to this choice that's coming up, because you do have someone that wants to take advantage of you. There's a little bit of a snake in the grass in there too. So what else have you got, Celeste? Well, is she a boss lady?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm feeling like maybe you're overthinking, over worrying about it a little bit. And I think it's going to be pretty obvious. It's hard because I feel like the same thing with Susie. There could be more than one option, and one of them probably is not a great option. Just don't be impulsive about making a decision, and don't get so stressed out and worrying and overthinking, because then you start dragging in a bunch of stuff that isn't necessarily pertinent to what's happening. So just kind of try to relax and just know that the changes that are potentially waiting are in your best interest. I do definitely.
It feels like one of these choices has to do with work, for sure. There's a work element in here.
Yeah, that might be more what I'm picking up on, because it didn't feel like it was a person. But where do we find more snakes? At home or at work?
It just feels like like a new type of a commitment. So maybe it's like a choice of, do I stay the position I'm at, or do I take a higher position with more responsibility, but more, snakes in the grass? So that could be coming at you.
That's, yeah. Well, we don't like that. No.
Well,
I've
good.
told so many people at work are not your friends.
So
They're
they
your
say
coworkers.
she's retired, but she does have a lot going on and she over worries. So
Fired. Nice.
Oh, maybe there's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be travel or relocating somewhere. I don't know if you've thought.
It almost feels like maybe someone's going to ask her to do something. Like maybe you're not quite as retired as you would hope to be.
uh-oh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Well, you'll have to come back on, Susan, and let us know how. And she said, is there anything on deceased loved ones?
How
You guys
do you,
don't? Hmm?
I was just going to ask Susie, how do you feel when we're in these group chats with that? I have a harder time trying to narrow down when there's other people. Do they come through pretty clear?
Yeah, they'll still, it just depends. Sometimes they'll come through there. I try to block out, like, because I only see the comments on there. I don't see all the rest of the people watching, but I can still feel them. But if I focus specifically on her, we can pull something out. But I've got a father figure right now that pulled up. So because I've definitely got the emperor here. So that's definitely
Can you show the card,
father.
Susie?
Huh?
Can you show the card? What's the emperor?
There's
Okay.
the emperor.
Oh, that's definitely a father figure, isn't it?
Father figure. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got the hermit here, which normally is just kind of like figure your stuff out. But do you see how that person is kind of floating?
Yeah.
It's really standing out to me that they're on the other side of, of course, she's probably that age. But I feel him definitely around you at this time. And it has to do with some of the choices that you're going to have coming up. Because I also have the lovers that came out, which before it meaning the lovers, it was the choice. So all those choices we were talking about, I think your dad is there to help guide you and help you understand these choices that you're going to be faced with. Because it looks like you may have to walk away from something that is kind of dear to your heart in order to like complete that choice process. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Susie.
Yeah. What about you?
And Marion, is it a general reading? Do you have a specific question? Let us know. But Celeste, are you picking up any energy on Marion?
I feel like there's something new coming into her life, and I don't know. I really hate some of the public things because sometimes it's very personal information. But I do feel like there is someone new that's coming into your life, and you may or may not already understand that. I feel like there is kind of, what's the right word, of being not melancholy, but like deep thought, deep inner internal kind of thing going on. And this has been for me a really predominant theme of the doing like the shadow work and doing the digging into things that are not necessarily comfortable. But the new situation feels very happy, and it feels very maybe something you've been hoping for. Don't necessarily know that it's a romantic one. It might be, but definitely someone else. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That is a free will question. And if that's something that is a passion of yours, 100%, you put that energy out there and it is definitely going to present itself to you. A lot of people don't realize how much we can manifest either to happen or to not happen. And we have to guard our thoughts really carefully. But if that is something that you feel passionate about, 100%, just put it out to the universe. That's where you're wanting to head.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Celeste. Susie, this is a message from Susan. Yeah.
Sorry
So
to
that
hear
kind of,
that.
yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that, Susan. And that does kind of go into what those cards were a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the hermit thing, couldn't that also be that people are, that diagnosis, you just kind of internalize everything and
Yeah, you withdraw.
yeah,
Yep.
it withdraw and, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. So, yeah. And as far as the paranormal journey, I think if that's something that you love and that's your passion, you should keep going with it. Absolutely. Because it's really hard in this life sometimes to find that love and passion on with something, for something, not necessarily a person, but a hobby, an interest, a love, something that really just that sparks you. And if that's if you're wavering on it, you can always take a break. I think all of us have at some point in time in our lives. We've all kind of stepped back from it for a few months, few weeks, take a breather, take some time off, regroup, come back out at full force again. We've all done that. So, oh, Susan, that's sweet of you. Yeah. So anybody else have any questions out there? We have the full hour tonight. Yeah, so this energy thing that's going on with these solar flares, I think like today was chaotic. And I think that, and also I noticed my animals are acting differently right now. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but even my farm animals, they're acting a little bit differently. It's really odd. I mean, I've got my eye on them. Normally, my donkeys and the horse and everybody comes up first thing in the morning. They know my alarm clock. They know what time I get up, and they're all starting to hee-haw, and they want cookies, and they want this, and they want that. And they were all at the back of the pasture this morning, like hanging out, not wanting to come in. That's just weird. So,
I actually was going to chime in on exactly that before you posted that question. I was going to say, paranormal work is like this giant circumference of opportunities. And one of the most beautiful parts about doing it is it kind of solidifies, especially for people that aren't sure what happens when we die. There's a lot of people that think it's just over. And when we can have some sort of evidence that shows there's a ghost, they obviously are not alive. So there is more than just this life. And so, yes, using those abilities, that would also include maybe working on your empathy. The world is moving very fast. And I don't know if the veil's getting thin or I don't know, but yeah, it's been crazy. But a lot of people are passing right now too. And it branches out like a spider web in a million different directions, but it really does impact people more so than, oh, your house is haunted. Maybe it's grandma's visiting you, and you can make that connection and that reassurance. And trust me, I get the helping to find missing people. You have to be really careful. Make sure you know how to cleanse yourself, ground yourself, because a lot of times it's major trauma when someone is missing, whether they've gotten hurt and died, whether somebody's like with a child kidnapped them, things like that. And if you're not careful about filtering your empathy, that can get pretty draining on you. So that's just a word of advice to make sure that you're honing your own skills of protection and releasing, in addition to building on the paranormal that you're working in.
Hey guys, for those of us in the audience, please make sure that you're subscribing to our hit our subscribe button on YouTube so that you're being alerted of all of our live shows. And we do multiple shows a week of different topics, different things. So make sure that you do that. It helps us out also in the algorithm. If you're like thumbs up in our comments and stuff like that, it does help. YouTube and Facebook show us more, so, and get the word out there, because Celeste and Susie just do amazing things, and their readings are spot on, and I'm always blown away by how accurate they are. But yeah, the world has been everywhere. It's not just America, it's everywhere. It's been a little bit nutty, so we all need to take time to breathe. And David said that his livestock are acting differently as well, that they've been, what did he say? They've been out back bellowing. And it's weird. Like, and I don't think it's like they're picking up my energy. They're noticing something different, bigger, larger.
Yeah. Well, if you look at a map of all of the earthquakes and stuff, having them in Soda Springs and Stanley and all those different, we're kind of in a circle of them, and they're more sensitive to that stuff than we are. And if we're feeling them clear into Pocatello, some people are feeling them, they can feel them even more.
Oh yeah.
So that could be what's really throwing them off.
Yeah. So the question is whether or not she should continue in the journey. Where do you guys see her in the future? Or is there any kind of reading for that?
Well, I think if it's her passion, she absolutely should do it and just trust where it's going to take her. Because one of the other things is our world is really tense and kind of chaotic. And there's anger and there's fear and there's discrepancies with each other, and we need to be adding that positive energy in. We need to be bringing the love and the sun and the acceptance and peace as much as possible. And it sounds funny to say, oh, ghost hunters, blah, blah, blah. But when you can look beyond the box, when you can feel beyond the box, or you can touch lives, it 100% is worthwhile doing. It's not easy, but it's worth doing.
I was also looking into it, like if she does it for work, there was a warning just from the universe to be very discerning with the messages that she receives, because I've got a lot of swords here. Swords are, thoughts and messages, but there's a ton of butterflies on them, so that's an indicator of the spiritual side. So it just said to be very discerning with the messages you're receiving from the other side. You know what I'm saying? Because like sometimes you can get people that still don't have the best of intentions on the other side too, coming and talking. So just be very discerning with what you take in. I don't know if that makes any sense. Does it, Celeste?
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to be discerning anyway.
It sounds like the answer to the question is if that's her passion, she should go forward, but have some discretion about what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that it would pay off. Mm-hmm. That it would pay off. If you had some discretion about how to move forward with your paranormal work, it would pay off. So, Lizette would like a general reading for the next week, and Diana just popped in to say hello. Hello, Diana. Glad to have you with us. So while you guys are doing the reading for Lizette, general reading. Marianne does say that she helped locate a child in a different state, and I was spot on everything. I was seeing through a picture reading I was doing. So that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal work. Cool. But that's also incredibly draining. I mean, I hope there was a good outcome in this situation, but oh my God, how draining, So just be careful and do some self-care with that. Because it can be overwhelming pretty fast. And I see, Diana, you want a general reading, so let's get to Lizette first, and then we will get to your reading.
So real surface scratch, Lizette, this next week is going to be pretty good as long as you can stay out of your own head. If you don't over worry, overthink, and be like, I'm not getting what I want. It's not moving fast enough. Come on. If you cannot do that, it's going to be real smooth, and you're going to have everything you need for this week. Just, it says, listen to your intuition, girl. You got this.
It is very hard. But here's the thing you have to remember. There seems to be an underlying theme tonight of overthinking, which is part of the reason I can't sleep either. But we need to think about what we want, not what we're afraid of, not what we think might go bad. We need to put our energy and our thoughts into, I am going to get a better job. I am going to find the house I've been looking for. Not, oh, what if it costs too much? What if I can never afford it? Mm-hmm. Because that's the ingredients we're putting into our soup. And we don't want poop soup. We want the soup we want. And so
one little tiny drop of poop will ruin the whole soup, won't it?
Yeah. And it's like, it is hard to control your thoughts. But sometimes when you catch yourself going down that broken record trail of the negativity, you got to change it, and you got to be like, this is what I want, this is what I need, not, oh no, and what if, and blah blah blah, because those are unending.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. Diana would just like a question on how this month is going to go for her, and while you're working on that, Marianne, I think is it Marianne or Marianne? How would you say that? I would Marianne, probably. I helped locate a child in a different state, and I was spot on everything. I was seeing through the picture of what I was doing. And then she said, sometimes I don't know how to explain to the loved ones what I'm seeing without scaring the family. It's hard. That's a line. That's a hard line to walk.
Yeah. Well, and that's, Susie and I talk about it all the time when we're in these group readings, and sometimes something really personal will come through really strong. And it's hard to, in front of everyone in the universe, go, your husband's cheating. You don't want to do that. So you do have to work really hard on trying to figure out how to, and the other thing with this, like you see the Long Island medium, and she walks up to strangers on the street. Oh, I see your grandfather standing. I never do that. Because you don't know what frame of mind people are in. And if they are supposed to receive that information, somehow they're going to connect with you. I really struggle with just throwing things on people, because man, it can cause some trauma if they aren't in the right frame of mind or the right place to hear things.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Who's working on Diana's reading?
So for Diana, I just have like a caution from the universe right now. For this upcoming month is just to be very cautious with your money. Be frugal with your money, and don't be like super willy-nilly. Don't overspend on the kids, even though I know that they're beautiful and you want to. But it's just saying, just be cautious this month for some reason. So that's definitely one thing I've gotten for you. What about you, Celeste?
Yeah, I definitely am feeling make sure you have good control over your impulse thinking or buying or doing. The energy's kind of crazy right now, and a lot of people can just jump into things. Speaking of, got frauded online last week because I jumped onto, oh, this is such a, yeah, tuck it in, Gina, tuck it in. So, but watch, and this is for everybody, watch that impulse behavior, because sometimes it can work out to our advantage, but most of the time being impulsive is not a good thing to do in the long run.
Kind of shows that if she doesn't kind of watch it, whatever it is that you're saving up for, that's a big purchase or something big that you plan on doing with it, it will kibosh that. So that's what the universe is saying, is chill.
So, hi, Carrie. My friend Carrie just popped into the chat, and she just asked, how much are the readings? So I will put their information. I put their information in the chat. So take down their phone numbers, and you can text these ladies and talk to them. They negotiate their reading prices with you directly. It's not something that we put up on the show, but I'm going to drop their phone numbers again in the chat, Carrie, and then Carrie, reach out to me also if you need a reading, and I'll put you in contact with them personally as well. Yeah, it's really amazing. If you guys have never done a full reading, it's absolutely amazing to have a full reading done. And a lot of people do it several times a year just because life changes and maybe they need a little bit more direction, or maybe they're struggling with something. And it's interesting. I mean, because as well as I know these ladies, there is things that they don't know about me, but all of a sudden they're just like, hello, this is coming through.
Sorry.
It's always a rush when all of a sudden you get that phone call about, maybe you shouldn't do what you're thinking about doing. Like, get out of my head.
I've been told that before, to stay out of my head. I've heard that a couple times. I think that's funny.
I usually tell them, you're in my head. I'm not in your head.
Right?
You're telling me this stuff, and I'm saying it out loud so you can hear it.
I tell them to quit yelling it at me, and I won't. So
Yeah.
Stop
shouting.
So
yeah, it's really something, because like in Carrie's instance, or like maybe Diana or Marianne, we don't know you. I mean, they don't know you. I mean, I know Carrie, but not super duper well. But they're going to come up with information that will blow your mind, because it's just great. People who have these gifts are just mind blowing at all the knowledge that comes to them about everything going on. So,
yeah. And Mad Max and his Bring Your Kleenex. You're not the only one who gets emotional. I have a big box in my office because sometimes we need to hear some of the stuff that's a little harder to listen to. And that's one of my struggles with the reading in the groups and stuff too, is it's like, oh, I don't want to hit something too emotional. But yeah, that's where the private readings are wonderful and just a great opportunity. I mean, sometimes specific questions are nice, but sometimes things come up that you aren't quite expecting, or you were kind of hoping weren't going to come up because you don't want to deal with them. And the universe is like, yeah, you're gonna figure
it out.
So we do have a question that's coming right now. So I'll share something with you guys that happened with Celeste and I about, and I don't think we really talked about it on this show, but when I had to put my big draft horse to sleep in the fall. And what's phenomenal to me is that I don't think it was that I was in your head giving you this information, Celeste, because it was never on my mind. It was never a thought. I was never thinking about this. I was only centered on losing him. But you came to me a few days before I was going to put him down because he was struggling so much. And it was information that he gave you in images and conversations a animal had with you about his past that you didn't know, because I never talked about it. How I got him, things we did, it was crazy. So it's not just dead Uncle Fred that comes through. Sometimes these animals come through, and he came through to you for months afterwards. So it was pretty amazing. So that energy is out there. And it drives me nuts because I have a science background and I work in the science field. And, everything is fact-based, repeatable, blah, blah, blah. We're doing all of our groundwater samples and our surface water samples, and it's data, 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 data. But then science says, well, what is it called? Anthropomorphizing your animals, like you're putting a human trait on an animal, and that's not acceptable. Well, I'm sorry, but if that was really true, there's no way Celeste would have the information that she came to my house before I put him to sleep and said, I need to tell you what he told me. Where did that come from? Because if I was just thinking the thought, then maybe I could say, yeah, she was in my head. But I wasn't thinking about any of that. So that was wild. So, yeah. What's it like to read an animal, and how do you know it's what's it like to read an animal, and how do you know? I think Mad Max, yeah, maybe How do you know it's an animal?
Well, I had been doing Reiki healing for him, and he had like, if not improvements, he wasn't getting worse there for a while, because it was a few months time. And then all of a sudden I could feel, for whatever it's worth, it's like when you're trying to pass someone the bowl of mashed potatoes and they're like, no, thank you. I could feel that from him. And I was like, why aren't you taking this? Why aren't you? And it's funny because we talk to our animals. I don't know. Is there anyone out there that doesn't talk to their animals? I probably have a room waiting for me at the nut house, but I do. I talk to my animals and other people's. And I'm like, why aren't you taking this energy? Why aren't you letting it heal you? And he pretty much said, because it's my time and I need to go. And it was like that. That's a really hard one. I've had that with humans and I've had it with animals when they're like, give it to someone who needs to have their life improved because they have life left. And I don't. And I literally felt this ginormous horse in my house. And it was almost like we were head to head, and it was a masculine voice. I don't know. It was very strange. I have never had an animal communicate as clearly as he did, but he really wanted those messages to go to Colleen. And my whole life, when my kids were little, I would tell them what the cat was saying. Oh, the cat says blah, blah, blah. Oh, she wants out. She's hungry, and they like, how do you know? And it was like, I don't know. Just know. But yeah, he told me that it was his time. He told me that Colleen had already saved his life and had given him 20 years he would have never had. And he showed me some of their experiences together. And she was pretty floored. And see, I'm not the one like the psychic I was telling you that goes up to people and says, oh, hey. So for me to even go to her with that information was a little difficult because A, what if it's wrong? And B, what if she thinks I'm a lunatic? All those things go on. And I'm like, no, he was very adamant about what he told me. And I felt the reality of it. I know. That's why we have Kleenex.
And it's not different, is it, Celeste, talking to an animal than it is a human? It feels the same. Like when they communicate with me and I communicate with them, it's still on the same level. It's not like we're talking. Yeah, it's not like we're talking down to them. It's a soul level. Yeah, or we don't understand them. It's still the same.
There are people that don't communicate as well as that horse did. I've done this. I was born with these gifts, and I have had older people that it was like charades trying to figure out what they were trying to tell me. And I had a 3-month-old baby that died of SIDS I had her mother completely freaked out. I was able to completely describe the house, tell her where the baby's room was, where the crib was, that there was a gift in it, what the gift was. And that was a 3-month-old baby. And that was this horse. Zephyr. I've always loved Zephyr and always visited with him when I would go to Colleen's and stuff. But I probably was as shocked as she was when he just started telling me and was like, you need to tell my mom. You need to tell her. And then she told me, after I told her, that she just kept going back and forth. If it was his time to put him down, if there was hope, he was going to get better. And he said that he needs to go because it's his time. And there's other animals that need what you have here and will not do as long as he's alive. And I don't think it would not have been a pleasant existence. He was in pain, and he was a very proud horse. I don't know if you know that. I'm assuming he was a very proud horse, and he didn't want to show his pain. So he was trying to mask that. You were even noticing. Everybody that was around him, that had been around him, knew that his health was not well.
And look at that beautiful Freya he led you to. No, the others.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I don't these gifts that you guys have. So if she can communicate with a horse like that, you can reach out to both of them for a reading for your life because it's a genuine gift.
Mhm.
Quit making me cry.
I know. And since we're on this and this is your whole idea, I'm going to make you cry some more. Do you remember our other reading, Colleen, where we had talked about maybe you needed to work on some shadow work, and we kind of dug into some things that whether you even consciously remembered. But yeah, things like that come up, and sometimes we're stuck and we don't know why we're stuck. And it's because of a trauma that's happened to us, either as a child, maybe even a past life.
Mhm.
And we keep hitting the same wall because we've never healed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, if you can give Zephyr one more message for me and let him know that Eddie is coming, it'll be soon. So his little buddy will be with him. So
Yeah.
those are things. So
I
that's tough when you
think
do animal rescue.
it feels like he's around him now.
Oh, yeah.
Does it?
Ready. Yes.
Okay.
Preparing Eddie. He's comforting him.
Yeah,
And
I
But
can
that,
feel it.
he's had
Yeah.
a big presence. There is no way you can miss his spirit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that may be why Jimmy didn't work out here, didn't partner up or friend up with Eddie, because Eddie was like,
Zephyr was too present. Yeah. Yeah. So those of you who never saw Zephyr, he was 19 hands and 2,500 pounds. He was an
Beautiful.
enormous horse. He was huge. A hand is 4 inches. So that's to the withers, to the
He
back.
just had the
So
softest heart, though. He
yeah,
was just such a
he
lover
was.
boy.
Boy, did I get mad at that animal a lot because he would tear the shit out of everything in Princess Barnes. He snapped railroad ties in halves. He pulled my horse trailer, which is almost 5,000 pounds empty. He pulled it 22 feet because he got mad at me one day. He just pulled it backwards. He's like, yeah,
Like the
bring it,
kid.
lady.
Mhm.
He just started pulling. I'm like, oh no. Yeah. So anyway,
Wonderful memories
um,
of him.
please reach out to Celeste and Susie and make arrangements to have your readings done because, whoo, yeah, you think you cried now? Just wait till you have a reading. It's really phenomenal. I don't know how you guys do it without like my anxiety would or a grief or it's pretty overwhelming. And for you, even without a reading, it's pretty overwhelming. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but
it's
anyway, I guess
really,
we're gonna go ahead and call it a night unless you two have any more messages.
no, I was just going to say it really is a calling. If you have the gifts, that it's important to work on those. But just make sure that you know how to take care of yourself, because you don't only get that soul's energy, you get the person you're talking to. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's an ocean. It's an ocean of energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it comes and goes with me. Some of these, like people will come through to me every once in a blue moon, and I don't know who they're for because I don't know them. They're random, and but I can't do it on demand like you guys can. Like I can't sit and concentrate on somebody, and all of a sudden they come through. That doesn't happen to me. It's really a random. Um, I'll tell a story before we leave. Okay, this is just another real quick story. But we had a lady who rolled her vehicle here on a local four-wheel drive trail road. Um, and I didn't know her. I just saw the newspaper clipping in the newspaper, and I thought, oh, God, how sad. You know, it's sad. She died, and she was not that old. And for whatever reason, was so compelled to her in that story. I kept going back and rereading the article, but I didn't know her, so I'm like, why am I so compelled to read this? But
Mhm.
finally, it drove me kind of nuts. And then after like the second or third day of really thinking about this accident, I looked her up on Facebook. I looked up her name and I saw her profile, and I'm like, gosh, I don't know any of her friends. I don't know her. And it just, but I couldn't figure out that compelling reason to be drawn to the story, right? And then this was during I think COVID. So this summertime, and the house is open, and all of a sudden, this lady that I saw in this article on her profile walks through the house, into the house, and she's screaming at me. I know she's dead. I mean, she's not flesh and bone in front of me, and she's screaming, but I can't hear her. And she's really upset. She's just frantic, and I couldn't figure out what's going on. This was very vivid because I've never really had this happen before. And this went on for maybe 2 days, 2 nights. It was a weekend, and she was just screaming and frantic. And I'm like, I kept going to her profile, and I couldn't figure out what's going on. I run a group locally here for missing pets and to reunite missing animals. And one of her family members, a couple of days after she passed, and about the time frame she was coming in and screaming at me, posted that her dog was in the wreck with her and nobody knew it, and the dog was missing. And I'm like, oh no, that's what it was. She was yelling at me because I was running this group and please help my dog. So we rallied. A lot of people were out looking for this dog. We didn't know what happened to it. It wasn't found in the wreckage. It wasn't found anywhere near the wreckage. So we figured it took off out of fear. They found it all the way up. So I think she was on over here, like off Howard Mountain by the antennas. And they found the dog all the way up at the landfill. Like 3 days later, it did have a broken leg. It made it all the way up there, but they were able to save the dog, get it to the vet. When she came through the next time and she's frantic, I was waiting for her. And then I could tell her, all I said was, we found your dog. He's at the vet. He's okay. And poof, she was gone. And I never saw her again. So those messages come through every once in a while, like that compulsion to go find her Facebook. And I couldn't figure out what's going on. Like, why am I so driven to this story? It's pretty wild.
Love is
So you guys
universal.
do it all the time. That was a one-off for me, you know? Yeah.
Except for that's not true. You don't
Yeah,
give
it's
yourself
very
enough.
not true.
That's okay. That's okay.
We've already told you that.
Well, all right, ladies, thank you for another wonderful show. Everybody who joined us tonight, we love you so much. Please come back, tell your friends. And I think maybe next week, McKenna will be back with some new stories. Thank you, David. We love you too. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.